Aries is represented by the ram in the zodiacal menagerie of mascots. The way the glyph, or the symbol for Aries, is written is intended to depict the strong horns of the ram. This is a reference to the Greek myth related to this zodiac sign, which goes as follows. The story of Jason and the Argonauts is one of the more well-known epic tales in Greek history. It's a representation of the classic hero's journey, a quest to achieve self-empowerment and self-actualization. Jason was born a prince, but his uncle Peleus overthrew the kingdom and stole power. For his own safety, young Jason was hidden away and raised by a centaur. When he was old enough to hold a sword, he returned to the kingdom where he had been born to challenge his oppressive uncle for the throne. Instead of a duel, Peleus proposed a test of Jason's merit. If Jason passed the test, then he would prove himself the rightful king. If he failed, he would die. Jason naively agreed to the terms, and so Peleus sent him on a quest to retrieve the Golden Fleece. Historians disagree on what exactly the Golden Fleece was. In its most literal interpretation, it was a ram skin cloak, which magically imbued the wearer with a kingly presence, blessing them with wealth and power. It was sort of like the ancient Greek equivalent of a Holy Grail or Ark of the Covenant type of a thing, a legendary relic which people have made many perilous journeys in search of to no avail. In essence, Jason was given an impossible task. The Golden Fleece was said to be guarded by fire-breathing monsters, evil sorcerers, and dark enchantments. It was sacred to the god of war, Ares, who would not hesitate to strike down someone attempting to possess it if they were unworthy of its power. No one believed that the young and untested Jason would survive such a daunting mission. But that's usually where the zodiac sign Aries shines the brightest. The quickest way to see an Aries succeed is to tell them they can't do something. So Jason took command of a ship called the Argo, hence why the story refers to Jason and his Argonauts. He and his crew faced battles with giant automatons, winged harpies, and the deadly lure of siren song, but after a long and arduous adventure, Jason did successfully return home with the Golden Fleece, although the real treasure was of course the friends he made along the way. In mythology, the gods commemorated Jason's story with the constellation Aries. Constellations to the ancient Greeks were kind of like a hall of fame, where people or animals who did extraordinary things or played some important role in the mythos were given a special place of privileged memorialization in the stars. This zodiac sign embodies the themes prominent in this myth. The life of an Aries is kind of like an epic quest. Especially when young, Aries often struggle with oppressive authority figures. They become a rebel with a cause, embarking on a mission to prove themselves. This isn't always a literal quest or something that they do in an external sense. Sometimes the biggest monsters that need slaying are internal. But either way, Aries has to fight their way to freedom, to earn the right to live on their own terms. It's not an easy path, it's not for the faint of heart, but luckily Aries is born with the courage to undergo these trials. They come out swinging, and eventually the victory is all the sweeter because it was so hard won. In general terms of the animal's characteristics, rams are especially noted for the fact that they like to run headlong into things. Aside from the fact that this relates to the assertive impulses that are a signature of Aries energy, something that I've noticed in my observation of many Aries over the years is that this zodiac sign will gently headbutt people or nuzzle people with their heads to show affection. I've seen so many different Aries do this that I had to mention it because it is adorable every time. Rams are also very territorial and of course symbolic of power, almost an explosive level of power. When they ram their heads into a rival or a threat, it's this primal force of nature. Aries lives out that same me against the world experience, having to defend their territory or their rightful place in the world. Just like how Jason had to defend his birthright as king. Aries inevitably winds up having to endure doubters or haters who try to hold them back or want to see them fail. And so this sign works really hard to show everyone that they deserve to be here. They're such fighters, they have such a warrior spirit. It's a very inspiring energy. Thank you so much for listening, Aries. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, comment if you have any questions, share this with your friends or other Aries in your life, and please subscribe. I would be so happy to have you with me.